Hello, everyone, and welcome to Series 9 of the From Surviving to Thriving series, stories of real people overcoming real adversity. And today we have Chris Sixkiller, which is an amazing surname. I love the surname, Chris. And Chris is going to share an amazing story with us today. So, Chris, over to you to introduce yourself.
Fantastic. Well, my name is Chris Sixkiller, and just to give you a little bit of the background of Sixkiller, that is because everybody's like, is that really your name, or did you just... I was born with it, but it's Cherokee, so it's Native American, and it's been through the military. I've spent 4 years in the military through Desert Storm period.
Wow.
Person that has definitely had and PTSD through some experiences that I faced in that, but also through childhood, through a split home, etc., and the things that I've had to accomplish all through my life. And that's where I'm excited to share some stories with you today. But I have two girls, 16 and 19, getting ready to be a grandpa, actually, so I'm excited.
Wow.
Been married for about almost a little over 24 years. So I got a lovely wife there too. And but just I have a passion for people. And especially my heart goes out to people that are facing those limitations and those adversities in their life, and they're just literally, we'll call it, stuck. And where sometimes they feel like there is no hope, for them. And there's always hope for each and every one of us. It's just a matter of what are we going to grab a hold of, and sometimes we don't even know what there is to grab a hold of. So that's my love and passion for people, and just seeing them get free and succeed and grab a hold of the greatness that is in each and every one of us. So
I love that. And tell me, share some stories with us about how you kind of see people through that crisis, I suppose, to watching them flourish. What's your I guess your favorite examples of that? Those times when we've supported people through change, where we look back on it and it kind of warms our heart, it warms our solar plexus, and we just really, enjoy those moments of sharing those stories.
Yeah, you bet. Well, and just to give you an idea of spurring where to, my coaching has kind of come through a spiritual side of things. And I have that is been homeless most of his life, but has extreme talent. He's very gifted, etc. But watching him with his limitations because of lifestyle and choice, along the path, his own path. But I love this, and I wanted to read this. Hopefully I can do this because this is kind of really something that I think we all need to grab a hold of. And it's from a philosopher named Goethe. But it's, look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's inspiring to me, and how we have to look at each and every person. So a lot of the people that I coach are those that are homeless, that are borderline homeless, really fighting the, just ends meet, etc. Trying to give them hope, how to work with their family, relationship issues. But I believe everything is very spiritual. And we got to start with what is deeper, in people, rather than just hit the surface, in order to really get to that area that they're stuck in. So just give you, one story I want to share is a gal named Christy. I go out and I actually feed people, and it's not just homeless, but I do that every week. So over the past 5 years, I've served over 45,000 meals.
Wow.
And yeah, with that, and I'm excited too, because I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I got a couple businesses, and I can listen first and foremost to them, and if they're willing to work, which means they're willing to step out of what they're presently in and to take some action. And so love to grab a hold of what I call the 3%, and lead them in a direction. But as I tell them, you got to make the first step. And if you're willing to, I will make the next 2 steps with you. Yeah. And it's fun when you do find somebody. So Christy, she was actually homeless for about a year and a half. And I don't know how much time I have, but I'll speed up this story.
There's no time limit.
Right.
There's no
Well,
time limit for amazing conversations, is there?
I love sharing the stories, though, especially success stories.
Yeah.
You know, the adversity side of things, we all are in it, but it's like, what do we do with it? But sometimes we need to get a hand up in order to actually get pulled out of that. But Christy is, she's 45 years of age, been homeless for a year and a half. And she came to one of my luncheons, what I call the kitchen experience, because as we know, in the kitchen is where a lot of the conversations, even gatherings happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came, and she's always smiling no matter what. She had a beautiful spirit about her. And she got robbed one day. She broke her, had her clavicle broken 2 places, and she's still smiling.
Wow.
And I was like, I'd just give her a hug and, you know, just love on her there a little. But one day she said she was looking for change, and that's all I needed to hear. And so I walked her in through, got her a job, and helped her through in her finances to manage some of those finances. And it's fun to, when you start, the first thing that I work people through is to identify their limitations, because like homelessness, that's not their limitation. That's a symptom of the problem.
Absolutely.
And yeah. And so to help them identify that, and then to, when they start identifying other weaknesses and can gain strength through myself or another coach or counseling, etc., it's a beautiful thing. And she started to identify things, and fast forwarding a year later, I picked her up, took her to work, etc. Had to really have hands-on with her for a year, and got her into a place. She's got her own home now. She's furnished. She's actually, she was working for me, but one of my clients loved her. They offered her a full-time position, and they gave her benefits. So it's a beautiful success story.
You know, that's really hitting here. And that's such an amazing story. And I just love how there are so many coaches out there. You know, coaching is a huge industry now. And there are so many people who enter coaching and just want to get into executive coaching and really just, you know, crunch the numbers and that kind of thing. And so it's so amazing to hear stories from coaches who are tackling the coaching space from a space where it's not about making money at all. It's about, you know, really helping people who can't afford to pay you, you know.
Right.
And you know, that really resonates with me. I kind of, when I was starting my coaching journey, I was working as a probation officer in Brixton in London, which is a pretty hardcore place to be working. And I used so many of the coaching skills in those sessions with people, and I would see them week after week come back having implemented those tools, those conversations that we'd had. It really got some fires going in their belly, you know, because people didn't speak to them like that ever. You know, people don't speak to the homeless like that generally either. You know, there's lots of support work available for people generally, but it's usually time limited. You know, I've done a lot of space I've done a lot of work in the homelessness space and substance abuse, child protection, that kind of thing. And usually in the kind of full-time work world, you're quite capped in terms of what you can do according to the company that you're working for, or, you know, how time limited you are in terms of what you can do with people and government funding, that kind of thing. But when you're a coach and you have those skills to be able to have those coaching conversations with people, God, it changes everything, doesn't it? It really does. And what you're doing in the world is just incredible, because it's not just that one person that you're helping. You know, you're changing the vibration of the place that you're in, of the planet that you're in. You're changing the world for that one person who then goes on to pay it forward, and, you know, it changes the world for their families, and it's just got that ripple effect, and it's so important. It really is.
Yeah. You know what? And you're is only that, and sometimes we feel like that's not enough, is that one person. But if we all just decided to make a difference in one person's life, you know, it will affect others.
You know, I've got goosebumps everywhere right now. I remember when I started working as a probation officer, or just before I started, and my dad sat me down, you know, for not stern chat, but he was concerned about me because he knew that I love to help people, and he said, Carly, you can't help everybody. And
Yeah.
and how often have you heard that as someone who likes to help people, and I said to him,
Yeah.
Dad, I know I can't help everyone, but if I can help one person in my career and help them in a really, really strong way, then that is enough for me, because that ripple effect happens. And yeah, and it's those kind of stories that are just so heartwarming and they just keep you going, don't they? Because this kind of work is tough a lot of the time. Working in the homelessness space is tough, and those kind of stories just really keep that fire in your belly.
Yes. Yeah. And those stories, are not the majority. They're the minority.
Yeah.
And because I've got other stories, a guy named Frank, living on the street packing a 60-pound pack, and building a relationship with him, and then being able to work through some of those limitations and the voices that we all hear, so whether we're homeless or not, we all have those voices of grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, teacher, pastor, in our head telling us we couldn't do it. But I remember this one guy, and he said, and I said, Frank, so what's your story? I watch you look like a strapping, young man, and look like you are fully capable of doing some really great things. And, I love what he said, because that's the mindset of many. And that's what really spurs me on to helping people. Is he said, well, I was told I'd probably never work again. I said, really? Who told you that? Well, the doctors and my mother told me. I'm like, Frank, how old are you? And he said, 35. I said, when did they tell you that? Well, when I was a teenager. And he said, because I've got a disease. I'm like, what do you mean you got a disease, Frank? And I said, what kind of disease is going to stop you? You look fully capable. You're living in conditions that would probably kill a wuss like me, and he said, I've got scoliosis. Think about that for a moment. That's 80%
Yeah.
of man that has scoliosis.
Yeah.
Yet the mindset
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
somebody told him, those voices from the past, whether it told you were no good, etc., you'll never work, you'll never amount to anything, and we do it. And so got to reprogram people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And limiting beliefs are so powerful, aren't they? And it's a strong part of our work as coaches to really uncover those and help people smash through them. It's just a roadblock to overcome at the end of the day, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. love what you're doing, and I love this, and just being able to tell those stories. And people need to hear those, like I said, those positive stories. With the news today, we get to hear all the negative, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there was a radio station in the UK that was started, and it was only sharing positive news, and it went bust because no one wanted to listen to it. We're just in a world where people love to kind of gossip, I suppose, about all the bad news in the world. And I choose, especially as an NLP practitioner, I choose to, yes, there's stuff that happens in the world. Yes, it's not good stuff. But if we're focusing our negative Nancy that's in our brain on that, on that negative news in a negative way, we're just contributing to the problem. So yeah, I prefer to transform that energy.
And that's really what it is energy. And with negativity, some people thrive on that. It's their drug of choice. Actually a large portion of people, I would say, because that's what keeps them going through the day, where for me it's debilitating. It's negative energy that sucks the energy out of me, rather than hear the stories, see the positive side of people and things, great, and then what they see. So.
How did you get to that place? Because having experienced war and PTSD, it's not an easy headspace to get out of either. So what kind of tools do you use to keep yourself in that positive mindset? Would you say that's been something that has naturally that's a natural trait for you, or is that something that you've learned?
You know what? It is something that, something definitely that I've had to train myself. I mean, I remember being in the military during that time. I would not sleep for, I mean, weeks, literally, and just driving myself nuts. And because then you hear more.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty trippy when you haven't slept for a while.
really, and
Yeah.
and I won't. If I told you what I did in the military, I built missiles, and
Wow.
very, and
Yeah.
so,
That's a bit of
uh,
a different life to what you've got now, Chris.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's amazing.
wow.
But a lot of those life skills that I learned even in the military have transferred over because I believe it's all interwoven and intertwined. We
Yeah.
go through because it's the making of
Mm.
us. So there's nothing that has gone to waste if we use it
Mm-hmm.
to our own greatness and what we have to contribute. As contribution is, one of the 6 human needs. And so I believe we all have something to contribute, but I had to train myself to sleep, and literally, and I did, and now I can fall asleep at a stoplight,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah. Hopefully you don't. Beware people on the roads.
Yeah, but it has self-care is something that I teach also is because a lot of times we as givers also we tend to get into it becomes our drug of choice,
Yeah.
and because it feels good, it drives us, and we want to just keep pouring out. And you made a comment earlier about what people tell you, and my wife. It reminded me of what my wife said when I first started was, why do you pour into these people and you're gonna get screwed over again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what I said? Hopefully it doesn't hurt so bad this time.
Yeah.
Getting screwed
Yeah.
over isn't. It's
Yeah.
inevitable. You think you're
Well,
not going.
and whether you're in a profession where you're helping people or not, you get screwed over if you choose to look at it that way. But as we were talking about before, most people prefer to, they get themselves into those situations where they're going to be screwed over, and then they love festering on that and using it as gossip.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They use it as a drug of choice to keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
So
interested in how you kind of going from such an extreme past life situation, working in the military and experiencing PTSD. Was there an element, and then going into the profession that you're in now, was there an element of having to integrate those experiences? Was there any kind of self-forgiveness work, I suppose, that was involved in that?
Oh, absolutely. Self-forgiveness is a huge major part of what you will become. Yeah.
Mm.
I always say and to bring light to a scripture, but love your neighbor as yourself. If you cannot love yourself, then you're never going to. And that's part of my even marriage counseling
Mm.
is, when's the last time you went to a movie by yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Being uncomfortable to do that for most people. 9 out of 10 say, why would I want to? Well, because you're going to go be by yourself. You're
Yeah.
with the big screen. Still, it's uncomfortable, but you've got to like yourself. If you can't live with you, then you will never.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
learn to like yourself. And so I've had to, as I continue when I do my groups, I tell them
Oh, lost you there for a minute. Did you get a phone call?
Um, but I do groups. I tell them I'm a sticky note king, because even I, were the position I've been in and leading people, I put sticky notes all over my bedroom, bathroom, car that say, you know what, I am a great speaker. I am a great leader. I am a good father. I am a good, so we have to constantly renew our own minds and put ourselves in of the greatness that we all have. So none of us are anything, less. We have to do that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And I'm a bit of a sticky note queen myself. All kinds of different coloured sticky notes. I like to keep it colourful. So that's a great tool. That's a really great tool for, spraying affirmations all over your environment, which is great. Are there any kind of, what are your other preferred personal development tools, I suppose, to keep yourself in check during a time where you're working with, in pretty hectic circumstances?
Putting myself is making sure, I have that quiet time, but also reading, good material and listening, with today's technology. I mean, we have great videos to watch that are inspirational. I love, Les and Rohn, Tony Robbins. I mean, you can just keep going. There's so many out there that you can, books you can read. And so all of that is important with your self-care. But I think probably and another really, I think a lost art, but I know a lot of successful people, they do it, but is journaling. Taking that moment to put your thoughts and your, even if it's, inspiration. My kids know now, when Father's Day or whatever, and as little as it is, I jump for joy. But these little black books, because I fill them up. I carry one in my pocket all the time, and because a thought will come.
Yeah.
And that's the creativity and the beauty of, humankind. Yeah. So that's
absolutely.
I was on pain pills, mind you, and from the military and different medications for about 15 years. So this has been, and I've been out now for almost 25. And it's been exciting to see. I haven't had to be on that even, because once you start eliminating stress, but also you change, it's been a dietary change too. That's another key factor in caring for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And those two go really hand in hand, don't they? I mean, just the thoughts can become so toxic that they create that inflammation in your body, but equally the diet is so toxic often that's creating so much inflammation in our body. High cortisol levels, high adrenaline levels. It's really about kind of unwinding that. And it's amazing to see pain shift, when you kind of reduce the inflammation in that way by clearing up your thinking, by clearing up your diet. And, in the kind of spaces that we work in with the kind of people that we work with, they're quite often either not eating enough. And that in itself creates a huge amount of stress on the body. But a lot of the clients that I worked with in mental health, the fast food diets are so much cheaper than going and splurging on salads and healthy fruits and vegetables. That of course they go to that, and they drink so much coffee as well and hardly any water, and to see how that feeds into their chronic pain. But it's a process of education a lot of the time, isn't it? And then it's a process of, well, how do they get the money to be able to feed themselves in the healthiest, most nutritious way? It's a bit of a vicious cycle, isn't it, with that client group?
It is a vicious cycle, and it is, and it's not just a momentary change. There's lifelong changes that have to occur.
Yeah.
With our fast food, society and mentality, we want, to get coaches like yourself or myself, and, I want you to transform me and make me into something different and shift my thinking and shift my body, help me shift all in 30 days.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna happen. But tell people that I work with, especially those on the street, I'm like, or borderline on the street, do you want to be homeless for 3 months or 3 years? Because you're going to have to go to the streets for 90 days. But I promise you, we can get you off the street in 90 days if you work with me and do the work. I'll give you the resources, and it's sad, but not many follow through. But that's where my 3% comes in, and I say 3%.
And it's the 3% that are willing to get uncomfortable, isn't it? Because that's really what it's about. People choose not to change because it's easier to not change and stay where they're at, even if it's a place of pain. And you kind of have to catch people at that time when the pain is so great that they're ready to make a change. And, as coaches, all we can do is kind of deal with the discrepancies until that happens, and wait, I suppose, to wait for that day when they're ready to hear what we have to say.
That's exactly it. You just reminded me. See, I went to my black book.
Yeah.
Actually, quote I heard, but it was, "Why are known hells preferable to strange heavens?" Why do
Mm,
you know? We go to jobs we don't like, we hate. It causes us, pain in our guts and in our spirit, and or relationships that we're in. People hate, or the conditions, but yet you'll stay there
yeah.
and over a possible,
Mm,
moment, you
yeah.
know,
And that
or
all
peace.
comes down, like you were mentioning before, it all comes down to self-love.
Yeah.
What I always say to people is, and they'll talk about, well, no, I don't have a problem with my self-esteem, because overtly there may be confidence, surrounded by friends, they might be in a job that's a good enough job, and, in their dream house and whatever. But, like I always say to people, if you 100% loved, honored, respected, cherished yourself, would you stay in that job that you don't like? Would you spend 40 hours a week there? Would you stay in that relationship that doesn't make you happy, or would you transform it in some way? And it's really about the relationship that you've got with yourselves. And so many people hate themselves on a daily basis that they're just willing to put up with all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a bit of a process, isn't it? So
It-
having gone through the kind of the two different lives almost that you've lived in one life so far, when you've experienced adversity for yourself, what kind of thoughts were going through your head at that time? What was that negative self-talk that was going on for you? How did you pull yourself out of that? Were there people that supported you in that journey? And talk to me a bit about that time. I guess your very worst moment.
yeah. And I'm thinking worst moments. I don't, those worst moments
Most
are actually
most challenging moments, I suppose. Greatest learning opportunities.
challenging moments, although we pull ourselves through those times, but there are still, I guess, are those things. So it's like my father, I mean, good man, loving father in his way, but I have always, and I've had to pull myself through that, in the sense of hearing him say, buy you books, send you to school, and you still don't, know crap.
Yeah.
It's like those become negative voices and thoughts in your head that actually are debilitating to,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm probably not going to become the person that I really want to be, because I'm limited in this area or this. So do people help you? I think we have to help ourselves. Now, self-love is different than self-loathing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that you really, as we were saying, and I thought I want people to know that we're not talking about self-loathing, because then you become selfish, self-centered. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about love, to where you see yourself as somebody great and has something to offer, this world and your community, your home, your family, etc. But coaches and people, and that's like and I have a list of my 6 steps, but number 5 is actually get up, take action.
Yeah.
And number so is always be teachable and find somebody to teach you. No matter how good we are, no matter how good we think we are, we always got something to learn. So find those mentors. Um, and in going through, when I got out of the military, wanting to go through college and schooling, but I have a family. I was a pastor then, volunteered for 30 hours a week. Plus, I started my own business. Then I started another business, and then I had my family with 2 kids, putting myself through school, getting in at 2 a.m., nodding off, and really going through those. And then those voices that you hear of countering you, that you're no good, you're never going to be anything, because that's what it's like, wow, you talk about a battle. And that happened. But my mentor, he told me, no matter what, keep God first, then your family. He gave me an order,
Yeah.
basically. And, you keep God first. So take care of yourself spiritually, honestly, whatever your belief is
Mm-hmm.
at this, but get spiritual with yourself. And number 2, but to take care of your family, and, but then be teachable. Chris, I will coach you, I will mentor you through. And he passed away now, but I'll never forget some of his rescues, showing up at the campground and I'm drinking beer and my self-pity and, and it's funny to look back on and like, yeah, okay, I made it through those thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And having that support around, I really think it's about, as coaches or working in the homelessness space, wherever you might be working, as that kind of support crew, that cheerleader, I suppose, for people, it's really about being consistent, isn't it? And having people that are willing to turn up at the camp when you're drinking and drowning yourself in self-pity and pulling you out of it, rather than just seeing you as someone who, oh, well, there he goes again,
Right.
can't do anything there anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And quoting a great quote, I became all things to all men so that some may come to see the truth and know that truth,
Yeah.
and beautiful quote and life in general, because you become, I'm going to reach you at your level, but we have to know our own bound. We have to keep boundaries,
Yeah.
you as a coach, because, as I surround myself a lot of times with homelessness and poverty and never want to stay there, because I believe, what, if you want to hang with the turkeys, you're going to be a turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Or with the eagles, then you better start, soaring with the eagles also. So
Yeah. And that's so important, isn't it? Because we as coaches, we hear all the time, you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And when, like us as coaches, we love helping people who are in a space that is definitely not anywhere near where we want to be. We have to kind of counterbalance that with having mentors, having people that we look up to, listening to people like Tony Robbins, like, whoever it is that floats your boat, to keep that going in your head, so that you are becoming more like them, but at the same time spreading your gifts and your love in a space where it's really, really needed, because we still need coaches to work in that space.
Yes, absolutely. You said it. That's beautiful. Yeah. Like Christy.
Yeah.
Christy, my story before, that was one of her battles, because she did, as living on the streets for a year and a half, 2 years, she had friends, she relationships and friendships, and to break her away from that, not to, leave your friends, ignore them, tell them, whatever, get out of my face. I said, no, but you meet them on their turf. Not on, and so that's probably been one of the biggest strongholds for her.
Yeah. Wow. And think about all the people that she will go on to help in her own way, whatever she ends up doing. Just hearing her story and sharing her story of how she's been there, she's made it through. It's possible for anyone. It's just I see it kind of like we're sprinkling little energy nuggets around the world, wherever we work, wherever we walk. We're leaving that little sparkly trail, and people will pick up on that energy. And as we improve ourselves and as we help others to improve, we're kind of raising the consciousness, we're raising the energy of the planet as a whole. It's just, yes, we're one person, but one person can do amazing things. Look at Tony Robbins. He's just one person.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All it takes one.
Yeah. Awesome. So have you got any kind of favorite tips that you'd like to share with the audience? People who are currently going through their own struggles and maybe waking up every day and thinking, God, why have I woken up today? I really wish I hadn't. I do a lot of work in the suicide prevention space. What are your final thoughts, I suppose, that you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, I think it's, climbing a mountain, but we have to, and for them, is to go back to that happy place. I think of Happy Gilmore, that movie. But go back to that happy place often. And I think that is what, if we can help people, because that everybody has had one happy place in their life. And if they can go back and revisit that, and as many times as better, then it's going to trigger that, so that all the negative sources and negative things will get, they'll be able to, my, again, 6 steps that I bring people through. Number 3 is to get bolder, get louder. Don't listen to the voices. And if you do hear the voices, then you know what, you be louder than they are. So you start screaming and shouting, whatever you got to do. If I got to read 2 books, then I'm going to read 2 books rather than, so it's just to encourage them to visit the happy place, and to get really bold and know what they want. People don't, we're going through this life. Half of us don't know what we want, really.
People really are really good at knowing what they don't want, though, aren't they? And focusing on that.
I love, again, another parable, but because I have a lot of those as a pastor for 17. But I think of, this person shouting, "Hey, have mercy on me, have mercy on me." And then finally brings him over and says, "What is it that you want?" And you think about that. And those are some of the steps that I use also, is because, what? He just said what he wanted, right? I want you to have mercy on me. Well, one of us, if we have breath, then we've already had mercy on us. So basically saying, get specific. What is it that you want? You know what? I want to see again physically or emotionally, relationally, whatever that is. But let's get specific and teach people to get specific, because I believe the desires of their heart will transform and take place.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing story, Chris. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and just to hear about the amazing stories of transformation that you have with your client group, and to see people doing what you're doing. It's really important work, and there's so many more people that I think could use learning the coaching skills within those spaces, because there's so many people working in those spaces in lots of different ways, but not in a coaching way. And, the more that we can get these kind of messages out there, the better, I think. So thank you so much for sharing that with our audience today. So how can people get hold of you, Chris, if they want to?
You know what? You can get a hold of me on Zoom now. Pretty soon. Hey, I'm a phone call away. They can call me. I don't know if you say that, but also
share your website address and your kind of social media details so people can connect with you.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, but you can call me at 541-840-7795, or you can even email me as great at TAM 6 legacy at gmail.com. And those are the best ways. I do have a website, TM Medford. That's kind of Tailgate Ministries, because my coaching started from a tailgate of a truck, is where it started.
Yeah. Awesome. And I'll share those links as well with our audience. But thank you so much for connecting in with us today, and keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. And be sure, audience, to connect with Chris, because I have a feeling you're a good one to follow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today for my video interview series, From Surviving to Thriving, stories of real people overcoming real adversity. If you're currently going through a situation that you're struggling to cope with right now, some kind of change or trauma in your life, maybe that's happened in your past and you're struggling to deal with, then I'm here for you, either via one-on-one coaching or through my online coaching program, From Surviving to Thriving, which I put together based on my own experiences of overcoming adversity and with the clients that I have worked with, helping them through their tough times. This is a combination of tools, quick and easy tools that will help you to transform your life, help you shift out of that negative mindset and into neutralizing those negative emotions so that you can cope with what's going on and create a better life for yourself. Head on over to my website, coachcarly.com, where you'll find all the information you'll need. And if you want to get in touch, feel free to do so via the contact page on my website. I look forward to hearing from you soon.